What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Stars Exchange for another Obi-Wan review. 4 episodes in, but this is only our second review, believe it or not. But yeah, part 4 dropped last night, 3 a.m. for me, 2 a.m. for Mike. We watched it this morning together. And yeah, it was solid. But before we get stuck into it, how are you today, Mike?
I'm doing great. I actually woke up early and jumped right into Obi-Wan, and that was cool. I haven't done something like that in a while. I've kind of just waited to, till 2 a.m. comes around my time, and then I'll watch them then. But for Obi-Wan, I've been watching them in the morning, and I do miss staying up and being part of like the first reactions for the episode. But waking up and just starting your day with Star Wars is never bad. It's never a bad move. So I've been vibing with it, and yeah, I can't wait to dig into this week's episode. But
Yeah.
how? Yeah, you watched it with me, and how was that experience like with you?
It
For
was
you?
good. Yeah, definitely different experience for me as well. Usually it's like 7 p.m. when they come out for me, so I'm like locked in ready. But since I'm in the States at the moment, it was 3 a.m. and there was no way I was staying up. So I had to. I was like to you last night. I was like, yeah, let's wake up early in the morning and watch it. So we did that instead, which was good. Quick bit of admin for the regular podcast viewers. My camera has been fixed. You're not going to see me just blaring all the time. Thank God. But there's an episode that's coming out in a few days where it wasn't fixed and I kind of go off about it at the end. That was my breaking point, but we ended up fixing it. Thanks, shout out to my brother Patrick
Shout out, Pat.
for fixing it. Anyways, this is a spoiler warning. All spoilers are ahead for this episode. If you haven't seen it, go watch the episode and come back. But yeah, overall thoughts, Mike. What did you think of part 4 of Obi-Wan?
I thought overall I had a fun time with it. I mean, it just covered all those like Star Wars tropes that we've learned to love and learn to live with. But ultimately, I just felt like this show really showed and exemplified all of the show's flaws so far. But other than that, like I seriously I just had a fun time with it, and it was like there's all these like cool moments in there where I was like ooh ah, so it
Mm.
was overall fun, and I mean it did move this story along, so you can't really sit here and be like oh my god it didn't do anything for the story, and it did, but so far I think it's the weakest of the bunch, but still had a good time with it. Nowhere, and it was nowhere near as bad as like I thought of some of the other live action Star Wars shows that we've gotten or episodes. So yeah, this was another fun installment for the series. Like I said, my least favorite so far, but yeah, I still had a good time with it. Ari, you watched it with me. What you think?
Yep. I pretty much agree with everything you said. I don't think it necessarily showed all the flaws of the series, but it was my least favorite. Least favorite though. Still thought it was a really solid episode. Had a lot of fun with it, and yeah, it did repeat like a lot of tropes that we've seen in Star Wars before. It felt very much like a Clone Wars or Rebels episode. Even
Yep.
like playing Fallen Order, it felt like that whole ending of that game.
Yep.
Even to go as far as Obi-Wan holding off the water and all that sort of stuff, and even getting into the fortress by swimming there. So it felt like we'd seen this story before. However, the episode was just fun. Like, just I'm still not used to just seeing Ewan McGregor back on screen. Little Leia, as I like to call her. Like, I
Hmm.
couldn't have said any better. It's just a good fun time, really. But I think it might be an episode that we look back on when the series is complete and be like, "Oh, I feel like this was kind of integral," because I do feel like it pushes the narrative forward in a solid way, but also just character wise. Ben himself, or Obi-Wan, whatever you want to refer to him as, this is probably the episode where he really starts to progress, because we saw him at the end of the last episode. He was really beaten down. He was just defending himself in that fight with Vader. Where in this, he seemed to gain a lot of his confidence back through the stuff he was doing. Even at the start of the episode, it wasn't a question for him, oh, do I go save Leia? He was just like, no, like, I need to get out of this back to tank because I need to go save Leia. So I liked that we saw him really grow a lot in the episode. Even like, it almost felt like him stopping the whole ocean from flooding the fortress. That felt like, a test for him or something, and one that he pretty much passed. So yeah, and just the way he was using his lightsaber and everything, I thought it was very cool. Going through the dark stealth Obi-Wan, gotta love it. But yeah, so I do feel like we'll look back on the episode in a positive way. And right now, I still think it was a good episode. And then even stuff with Reva, bit more development for her. She even was saying how everything was taken away from her as a kid. We sort of got it felt like a little bit was revealed about her in that interrogation scene. And also something I just love about the episode is it, I don't know if maybe people will like think this is a bad thing, but I think it's a good thing in the way it doesn't really tell us what's going to happen next. Like I just have no idea what's going to happen in these next two episodes. I'm curious to hear what you think. Like, do you have any idea what's going to happen in the next two episodes? Because for me, I'm like, the door is open. Anything could happen.
Well, yeah, I thought about this because at the end they had the little droid like lighting up with the sensor light or whatnot,
Yeah,
the tracking beacon.
yeah.
So I was like, oh, it looks like they might be going to the base that Obi-Wan went to, where he was, where what's the character's name?
Which one?
The woman character, the lady
Oh,
that's been helping
Tala.
him.
Tala.
Tala.
Yeah,
Feel like that base is just gonna get raided.
yeah.
So I think we might get like a little Hoth sequence there, and we do have the
Mm-hmm.
speeders around, so we could do that. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, other than that, I do think the door is open. Um, I did, along with the rest of the interwebs, I did want a flashback of Clone Wars Anakin and Obi-Wan in this episode, or at least
Yeah,
somewhere in that era. But hopefully we get that next week. But yeah, that's where I think it's going. I mean, they kind of set it up at the end where I was like, all right, I think we know where what we're going with, but you never know. They could just pull something completely different on us and do a whole like just different type of episode. But yeah, I think
yeah,
I'm confident saying we're gonna get some type of.
yeah,
I hope that's not the finale. I hope the finale isn't
yeah.
like, oh, we're gonna finally get to this base. This reminded me of Seventh Sister tracking Ezra on to back to Gorel. It kind of felt like that.
That's a
So
good
hopefully
point.
they do
Yeah,
that in the next episode and they don't string it along to the finale. That would
yeah.
blow. But yeah.
I do agree. It's like, yeah, that does sort of seem to be what's going to happen. But I feel like, that point of the narrative with Reva is really a stepping stone to the ultimate point of what the story is being told, with Vader and all that. So in that sense, yeah, I do get that. But then like I just feel like with Vader and all that, which is like sort of the real like meat and potatoes of the series, in that sense, that's where I'm sort of thinking like, okay, like what is going to happen from here? So and I like that because these next 2 weeks, I'm just excited to see how it all plays out. But yeah, do you want to start going through the episode, or do you have any more like overall thoughts you want to say?
You know, I did want to say, I think you mentioned it earlier. This Yeah, we're definitely gonna look at back at this episode and be like, oh wow, this was integral to the story or whatnot. I mean,
Mm,
I really enjoyed the Obi-Wan. I keep wanting to say Ewan. Obi-Wan struggling at the very beginning with him in the Bacta. That was great. That was a
yeah,
great scene. Him trying to, really struggling with like some PTSD flashbacks, and like just like going back to the fight, and also he's just like so hurt that he was just like trying to get out of the tank, and we've never seen someone do that in Star Wars. Usually they just want to be in the tank, and that was
yeah,
cool seeing that perspective. And yeah, going back to the perspective of Vader and how he was doing, I was like, oh man, like these two gladiators, like the fight ended and now it looks like we're gonna get like, they're gonna regroup with themselves and then come back, and it's gonna be like the epic battle that they keep teasing, the epic rematch. But yeah, like I said, yeah, oh, you know what, this episode reminded me of the what's it called, Rise of the Old Masters of Rebel
yeah.
season 1,
Exactly what I was thinking. Yeah,
when they were planning out planning out how they were gonna like invade the base and stuff
yeah.
like that. I was like, oh, Stygian Prime,
Yeah,
that
like
was
they
great.
got the schematics up and
The
everything.
schematics, and we
Yeah.
just need Sabine Brennan there pointing out, how to, which parts were impenetrable and which ones weren't. But yeah, I thought, yeah, it was a, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but it was a good callback, and that's some of the tropes I'm talking
Yeah.
about. And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you said it already with Obi-Wan holding up against the water. That was cool. It reminded me of Anakin too, when he was holding up the fire against the exploding Star Destroyer, the Venator in Clone Wars
Mm,
with Ayla Secura when he was holding
yeah,
it back. I was like, oh man, that's cool. So but yeah,
yeah,
that was cool. I thought it was kind of goofy how he was managed to like slip out and the water, no water came through. But I was
yeah.
like, you know what? It's cool. It was still
It's
cool. But
Star Wars.
it's Star Wars. So
Yeah,
but yeah, yeah. Also, you brought up that Revel. We got a little into her back story, so that was kind of cool. I
yeah,
did There was a moment where they had a confrontation out on the landing pad that I was like, okay, cool. Like I want to see if Obi-Wan remembers her or recognizes her, and what Revel has to say to Obi-Wan. But there was
yeah,
nothing, and I'm like, man, I hope because I know there's a complaint out there like this is the Obi-Wan show, not the Reva show. But here's the thing: uh, the Darth Vader character was added later into the script, later into the story. So like I
Mm,
think they were just gonna really focus on Reva and Obi-Wan. So trying to see that now, trying to see how that holds up. It's interesting them trying to balance Vader and Reva because the last episode Reva was just pushed to the side and Vader was in the forefront. But this episode it was the complete opposite. So I'm curious as to how they'll balance it out in the final two episodes. Hopefully it balances out well where next week it's not just Reva thrown to the side and it's just Vader. I hope that there's like a nice balance. And yeah, I just want to see why Reva is obsessed with Obi-Wan. I thought we would get that this episode too, but
yeah.
I guess they're holding us over. Yeah, I think that's all my overall thoughts, really. And yeah, I'm ready to dissect in here though.
Definitely. Well, yeah, I think all will be revealed. Something I do hope that doesn't happen. I remember when we got to the Book of Boba finale, I was like, "Oh
Mm,
boy, there's just so much to do here,"
mm-hmm.
and then it all just sort of like imploded within itself, and
Literally.
at least I found it a little disappointing. So, and I feel similar in this sense. I feel like there's a lot to do, but there's still two episodes, and I don't know. I trust Deborah Chow and the writers and all that, and I don't know. I'm just not that worried about it. I just feel like the people involved in this production just know what they're doing. I don't know why. I just have that sort of faith. So hopefully that faith is restored in the next or you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
That faith is shown why it's there
Yes.
in the next two episodes. But yeah, let's go through it from start to end, how we do. So obviously we talked about the opening scene. Obi-Wan is dumped in the Bacta. He's trying to heal. And then we also see like him and Vader almost healing simultaneously, although Vader, I don't know how much healing he has left to do if he's just on permanent heal or whatever's going on with him. But yeah, that was cool. It felt like the end of episode 2 when they have that little force connection moment. But yeah, as I said, Ben is like intent on saving Leia, no messing around this time. Yeah, he gets a new outfit even. We see
Yeah.
O'Shea Jackson Jr.'s character revealed, not Quinlan Boss. Um, but yeah, his character had to even be like convinced to help. So, but yeah, what do you think of this whole opening scene with the Baghdad, O'Shea Jackson Jr., all that, and new
Yeah,
costume?
it was very weird because this was obviously giving the vibes of a rebel base and seeing
Yeah,
Obi-Wan there, like a episode 3
yeah,
Obi-Wan type
yeah,
of figure and not like Ben Kenobi. I was tripping out. I was like, whoa, this is too real.
yeah,
So it kind of threw me back to the Onderon arc in Clone Wars and Obi-Wan really being the front runner of bringing this rebel alliance to life, and then actually him being thrown in the mix of it was so yeah, it was just surprising to me. It was like kind of shocking being like, wow, it's he's really here right now. He's kind of the one that was like pushing for this, so it's kind of cool that he's here right now, leading, just in the mix of everything. So yeah, it was cool seeing him in a rebel base. Ice Cube's son, very nice to finally see him in here, and it looks like he's playing a cool supportive role. So yeah, that's awesome that we finally got him in here because he's been on Twitter being like, oh, I thought it was gonna be in this episode. Nah, oh, I thought it was gonna be in the trailer. I wasn't in the trailer, so it's finally
yeah,
nice to see him actually in the show. But yeah, as I said about the Bacta, that was really well done. I was like, wow, this is cool. And yeah, seeing Obi-Wan, now I'm sure everyone went bonkers for seeing a shirtless Obi-Wan. But seeing
yeah. I've
him
already
with
seen a few suspicious tweets out there.
yeah, I was about to say don't check Twitter if you don't want to see
Yeah,
any of that. But if you do, check Twitter. But yeah, I thought also that the scars look so real that I was like, wow, the makeup and costuming of this series is really good. So yeah, oh man, and as you said, Vader. Oh my, I wish we got
yeah,
more Vader in this episode, or at least like what his thought process is right now. But it was still very cool that they did those two comparing shots. I love that.
yeah. Vader almost feels like Darth Maul in Phantom Menace right now. You know,
Yeah, I will give you
hopefully
that.
in these last two episodes, and I'm sure he will be very prominent. But yeah, no, we love seeing Ewan McGregor in the back of the tank. Absolutely love that. But yeah, something I found interesting. This is sort of non-Kenobi related. However, it was tied into the episode. So when they're going through the schematics, like we were just talking about, they say nobody has been stupid enough to attack the fortress, but we've all played Fallen Order. We know that Cal Kestis has. So the fact that they didn't know Cal had done that sort of shows that he is separate from this story, because there was a lot of talk of, oh, the Fallen Order sequel and Obi-Wan is going to be in the same timeline. Well, I guess this short sort of shows like that those stories are very separate, because they clearly have no idea about Cal Kestis. So I was thinking, well, if they're going to bring Cal in, now is the time, because they're going to call him up and be like, well, how'd you sneak in or whatever it is. But they seem to have no idea. So I think that, not that I was necessarily thinking the stories would intertwine, but it almost confirms that they're not going to. But yeah, what do you think of that?
Um, hmm. That I mean, I laughed at the whole because it did take me back to Fallen Order.
Yeah,
That no one would attack the base. So yeah, I thought that was funny, and yeah, that's a good point that they don't know he's out there and stuff, and it definitely raises some speculation, I guess, for Jedi Survivor. The follow up to Fallen Order and seeing if it's going to coincide with Obi-Wan or not. But yeah, I thought yeah, that's a really good point. I don't know. I thought yeah, it did take me back to Fallen Order and yeah, I just kind of laughed because I remember they had this whole sequence where they're dropping Cal into the planet in an escape pod or whatnot in a drop pod. So I thought that was funny. So I was like, yeah, about that. But I will say, I did, this episode covered a lot of those tropes, but I thought like, the tropes that I was doing, like we've just seen better examples of them. For example, Fallen Order, when we're slipping into the base, and it reminded me of Rebels too. Yeah, Rebels way cooler when they're sneaking up on Stygian Prime, and Fallen Order obviously when Cal's swimming into the base, and he goes in there and attacks the troopers. Obviously, I vibe with that better. But it was like, wait, where's the Star Destroyers? Because I remember it being this whole thing in Fallen Order where you came up on the planet and you had to Marin had
yeah,
to use her magic to disguise the ship and cloak everybody so they wouldn't detect them. And then what they were able to just pull up and well, I mean, they came in an Imperial, she
yeah,
had codes and whatever. But at the end, when we have Jackson's Jr. coming for the rescue, they were just able to slip in and slip out easily. So I was like, what is going on?
yeah,
But yeah, that I think that's a good point. What do you guys think? Let us know in our YouTube comments. Let us know what you think. I think that's a really good point, Ari.
for sure. But yeah, so continuing on, they come up with a plan. Taylor takes Ben in with the, goes undercover, all that. And we see in the ship, Ben's actually struggling to sort of, I don't know if to say Ben or Obi-Wan. I'm kind of stuck
Yeah.
saying Ben because that's what they keep calling him in the show. But he's like struggling to use the Force, which we see sort of come full circle by the end of the episode. And then we get that classic, swimming sequence, which of course everyone's just going to think of Phantom Menace. So I thought that was cool. And then we get into a very interesting scene, or maybe this was just before this. I'm not sure exactly the timeline, but we see Reva interrogating Leia. And Reva talks about how everything was taken from her, all that. What do you think of that sort of interrogation scene, and how I guess it was sort of interesting to see like a 10-year-old being interrogated by an inquisitor. Was that jarring to you at all? Like,
It was.
not in a bad way, but I just thought like this is just very interesting to see, I feel like.
I think from a writing standpoint and just overall the situation, I thought it was jarring. Just because I was like, it seemed goofy to me. It seemed even more goofier than Leia running through the woods and all the uh, thugs trying to capture her. Like I prefer that than like something like this because it just felt really goofy. I'm like, you are almost, you're a full adult, Reba, and she's interrogating a child the way she does, and I was like, well, that's one way to go about it.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
yeah,
the dark side, takes you down a dark path.
so just interview children like that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, for sure. But it was just the way she was trying to also manipulate her was not in the best way. I'm not talking
Well,
morally, but I'm just talking about like it was like comedic. I was like, are you serious right now? Like it just didn't seem
yeah.
of something of that we would expect from a villain. But yeah, I think there was like cool moments in there somewhere in there where I was like, oh, that's funny, or like I love the part when Leia was trying to like, okay, I'll help you. Let me just talk to my dad first. Like I need to tell him first. And she was like, take her away, like lock her up. We're gonna torture her. And
Yeah.
I was just like, okay, now that was actually supposed to be funny, but yeah, I don't know. I thought Rebel's strategies were weird, and the fact that she was already like not even she's like skipped the whole interrogation and was already trying to use the force on her mind and see what she could crack. I thought that was like, wow, Reva is just that ambitious or whatnot.
Yeah.
So
Well, impatience, it's the way
yeah,
of the Sith.
well, yeah, and to her character, I mean, this entire time that we've seen her, she's been impatient.
Yeah.
She's gone above the law of the imperial law, what have you, and just she's been on her working on her own. So yeah, I thought, I mean, yeah, it did speak to her character, but I was like,
Yeah.
I was just like, oh my god, this is so weird right now. And I did love also the bit where Leia used her droid Lola to kind of like attack the Inquisitor, and she's like,
Nope.
nope, not happening.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, overall, I thought it was a janky sequence, but I mean, there was just moments that I did end up liking. So there's that. I mean, did you? So you like
Yeah.
this interrogation
Yeah, I
stuff?
thought in the context of the show was actually done pretty well because it showed, that's the point with Reva. She doesn't know what she's doing. She's impatient. She just wants to go for it. If she had have like been clearer from the start and like just been really nice to Leia, maybe she could have manipulated her. Leia's smart, but she's a 10-year-old. But no, she was like sort of like trying to torture her, but then she's like, no, but I'm actually nice. So, we're all the Empire. So I kind of liked it in that sense. I thought, I just thought it communicated Reva and Leia's characters well and showed the pretty clear difference between light and dark and how they operated. I love seeing little Leia just doing her thing, being smarter than a however old Reva is, an adult. But yeah, I didn't mind it in that sense.
Yeah, fair
Um,
enough. I mean, yeah, there's more to this. I think this was more of the lower points of the episode for me, which I still like the sequence somewhat, but it was just, yeah, one of the more lower points of the episode.
yeah, fair enough. Um, So yeah, after this, we see Obi-Wan sort of sneaking around, excuse me, sneaking around the fortress. It sort of reminded me of him sneaking around the Death Star, 10 years later. I
Oh,
thought that was cool.
definitely.
And then a scene which was very stark, a visualization of what's happened to all the people of, they say Mustafar is where, or the Mustafar system is where Jedi go to die. And that certainly seems to be the case. We see Terra Sanube in there. That was awesome. Cameo of the week. And
Yes.
then all sorts of, I assume Jedi, I'm not exactly sure. It was Jedi younglings or maybe just Force users. I assume that's what it was meant to be. And people were thinking Swords Bandine potentially was in there. I don't know if that was him. That would be a bit on the nose if it was. Even I saw people throwing out Seer could potentially have been one of them. I'm not sure about that one. I saw that getting thrown around though. But yeah, Mike, what do you think of this? It was pretty cool.
This reminded me of a scene from like Scooby-Doo 2, where we're just in a museum and we see all these villains, but this time it's just all the heroes. And I say that in a light way, not like saying, oh, it's on that type of level. But yeah, no, I didn't expect this at all. We ventured a lot through Fortress Inquisitorius in Fallen Order to where it was, we only got like a preview of the entire base, but like, yeah, there's things like this that exist in there. So this was surprising, and I actually really liked it. And yeah, seeing at first I was like, is that Terra? I was like, that is Terra. And uh Ari and I went crazy when Terra Sanube was in Rising Storm, when he was mentioned or whatnot. So it was like, oh my god, he's actually in a live action show. Like, what is going on? So that was great. I love that they include him there. It means that they did pay attention to, obviously Rebels, because we have the
Yeah,
Inquisitors in there, but also,
unlike some of the actors.
yeah.
I'm
So,
joking.
so
Oh
um,
god.
but yeah, it was great. It was I loved seeing all the other stuff too. I was curious. I'm like, because some of them were, it was evident where they were Jedi, but as you moved along, it's like, they're not in your custom Jedi cloaking. What are they? Or cloaks, but what are they? Who are they? So yeah, Force users, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And I did like seeing that one Padawan or youngling or whatever. Yeah, youngling or Jedi initiate, whatever you want to call him. But yeah, it was weird seeing him, and I haven't heard this thing about Seer. I got to go back and
Yeah.
watch. But I
I
love
just
things like
saw a
this.
few random tweets on it,
Oh,
but you see a few random tweets on a lot of things, so I
like
wouldn't trust it.
like shirtless Obi-Wan. But you
Yeah.
also see as you're walking down this thing. I mean, I love moments like this because it feels like you're a kid in a candy shop where like you're just like enjoying what you're seeing. At least for me, I was enjoying the episode, but when it came to this moment, I was just like, hold on, like let me just look around the room and
Yeah.
run to every freaking case and see
Oh
who's
yeah,
there and what their
definitely.
story is. So yeah, that was a little fun moment. And I want to on the Obi-Wan, you said Obi-Wan walking around. I just want to bring this up real quick before I forget. Obi-Wan walking around the Death Star thing. That was, I mean, that was great. And you also had him using the, force to like distract them like he does in A New Hope. So I was like, oh man, that was great. That was epic. And I love how this series is really tying in everything together, really. I mean, it's tying
Yeah.
in Clone Wars, Rebels, the freaking prequel trilogy to the original trilogy. You also get that Rogue One vibe in there too. So I just love how it's just this series is literally like just bridging everything together. It kind of
Yeah.
almost feels like the world
3.5.
between worlds. Yeah, and 3.5, and it also feels like the world between worlds that we
Yeah.
see in Rebels, just because it feels like, well, and here everything is just connected and flowing. So yeah, I absolutely love that.
Definitely. And yeah, no, I mean it's like, oh, I guess that's one of Obi-Wan's tricks. But yeah,
Mm,
with the little pod thingies, that was just so cool to see, like a nice acknowledgement of the animated shows. Like, and it's also, I like how they don't just throw it in your face, because when they just throw that sort of stuff in your face, it's real jarring. But that was like, for the Clone Wars and Rebels, or well, mainly just Clone Wars for Terra Nube, Clone Wars fans looking at it being like, oh, nice. Like, but for anyone else, it's just like another Jedi. It doesn't need to be like some big deal. It's just like, damn,
exactly.
okay, cool. Similar with the Quinlan Voss shout out last week, but yeah, no, fun to see that connection. Obviously, just tongue in cheek with the actors, that they're all doing good jobs, and all that, respect to them. But yeah, so Tala has to distract Reva from, I suppose, turning Leia into one of those little frozen thingies. I don't know what to call them. And then Ben sweeps in, as I said, very confident with his lightsaber, even doing a cool little trick in the dark, which was nice to see. And then
Hmm.
he goes on and defends Leia through the whole fortress, and then has that his true test, once he has to pretty much stop the whole ocean from pouring into the fortress. And um, I guess, yeah, that's when the Jedi are at their best, saving someone else, and that's what he was doing out there, saving Leia, someone he cares about. So, yeah, what do you think of that whole sort of escape sequence, and Obi-Wan sort of regaining his confidence as a Jedi? It seems.
When he first freed Leia, I mean, by the way, when they were gonna torture Leia, they were gonna torture her the way they tortured Seer in Fallen
I
Order,
know,
and I was like, what? So
that's
I
the
was like,
Inquisitors for you.
that's the Inquisitors for you. So I was like, damn. But yeah, that whole sequence where he comes in and saves her reminded me of Star Killer. When he, I don't know what he did, but it was, I've seen footage of it. I played the game, but I
Yeah.
forgot what. It's been ages, but it reminded me of when he lights up lightsabers in the dark and starts going ape.
Mm.
The rest of that, but the whole sequence of him walking through and doing the lightsaber stuff, um, I liked, especially that little maneuver he does at the end. It's just like, oh man, he just does like a little pose. I'm like, that is prequel Obi-Wan. He's back. So that was amazing to see, and that was like satisfying. But I don't know. I'm not usually like this. I'm not there being like, oh my god, the cinematography and the way this was shot. Like, I
Yeah.
just go in and try to have a good time too. And I mean, I will say, you could tell a way of a show if a show's being done right, but the cinematography and stuff, because then it just elevates the experience. And
Yeah.
so far Obi-Wan has been kind of lacking in that, and here in this episode, when we could have had some cool moments with, even when I was trying to get like screenshots for promo for the YouTube and stuff, everything just looks so like non-stabilized, and everything was moving in a very we keep saying janky, but in a very janky way, where it was like, oh my god, like if I was watching the episode trying to like just capture a moment in my head, which it was like, oh man, that's the money shot right there. But the camera was moving all the way around, where it just, yeah, it didn't feel like professionally done at all. And it just like, if anything, it just took away from that sequence for me. Even though I thought it was still really cool, and I love seeing Obi-Wan go up against stormtroopers, and like I said, I love that maneuver he did at the end where he was like, yeah, there we go, there's my battle pose for you. But yeah, that's just my take. I don't know. I'm sure there's other people that agree out there, but yeah, it's weird for me because I don't even pay attention to any of that stuff. But I just noticed in that part, because that scene could have been way cooler if it was like done in a more like cinematic way. But yeah, seeing Obi-Wan go up against Stormtrooper, and then I love that Seeker droid shout out. That was cool. That's like the same series that the Seventh Sister carries around, and I
Yeah.
forgot who else. I forgot what other Inquisitor has seeker droids, but yeah, that was a cool call out to the seeker droid series. But yeah,
Yeah.
I like all that stuff.
Yeah, that's interesting. The whole like cinematography thing you bring up. I don't know. Honestly, I feel like I disagree because I really did feel like there was a few money shots of him like standing next to Leia, all that. But I don't know. Guess we're just gonna have to disagree on that one. But like
Fair.
overall, like I've enjoyed it throughout the series. I think it's been shot well and all that. But yeah, I don't know. That's just very interesting to hear. To be honest, I haven't heard that sort of being discussed much yet. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have much to say besides I think it is actually quite cool. But
Parks, if you're listening, what do you think? I'm curious
yeah,
to get your
actually
thoughts.
true. That would be a bit of a film buff there. But yeah, so as we move on, they sort of start to get out. Obi-Wan's got Leia like tucked under his
That
jacket
was
to
great.
sneak her out. And they actually walk like straight past the fifth brother. And once again, that's the way of the Inquisitors. They're not. He was more focused on getting revenge on Reva or whatever. The prey slipped right past him. And then they sneak through and they make it out, with a bit of a kerfuffle with Reva and whatnot. And then we lose one on the path, helping people. I don't even know what to call them. But yeah, shows this just all shows the Inquisitors do not work together. That is just the way of the dark side. That's how it works. They're selfish, not selfless. Um, and yeah, and then one of the coolest scenes of the whole episode, Vader comes in, was about to kill Reva, and then she says that she's left a tracker on the ship, which I thought that was just like her bluffing, saying like, and then
Same.
she would just take them to Florum or wherever the planet Talos said they're on. But we see at the end of the episode, she actually has left a tracker in the droid, which good from her, I guess. She actually did do it, so we'll see what goes on with that. But I have to mention that final scene where it feels like we really got to see like the trust and the bond built between Leia and Ben, which I was just like, oh, I just love to see that. That was a beautiful moment, holding hands. Like Ben's finally like made another human connection with someone for the first time in like 10 years. With the daughter of his old pretty much brother, which is kind of heartbreaking to think about, but it was very touching, I would say. And something that got me randomly thinking about was like, why does Leia in A New Hope go, um, years ago you fought with my father in the Clone Wars? It's like, shouldn't you be like, hey Ben, it's me? Like, obviously, I'm sure they'll explain it and whatever. I was thinking, sorry, this is so like sort of just random, but I was thinking, maybe at the end of the series, Ben will be like, you have to forget you knew me. If you ever address me again, just like pretend we've never met, or I don't know. They'll have to explain it like that. Point is, very touching scene. But wait, what do you think of this whole ending? Vader, that stuff, the tracker. What do you think?
I'll comment on your thing first because I have thought about it
Yeah,
about that as well, and I think in that manner she was just being more formal,
yeah,
and I mean she was a kid at this time, and how many even though someone you grew a bond with someone when you were a kid, like when you're old, you're like 10 years older, like you remember those like
yeah.
moments,
That's
but
true.
you have to be kind of like because you don't know what the vibe is, and it's like let me just be formal, like if
Mm.
like, hey, like, let's see if they, at least for me, like, I'll see what they reply with, and then I'll be like, I'll match their energy. Like, oh my God,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
could act like
Because
when we were kids.
she could be like, oh, he might, he's lived such a crazy life, he might not even remember me.
Yeah,
Sure. That's
exactly.
there you go. That's my head canon. That's a good point from you.
So,
Yeah,
I don't know. That's how I thought about it because I think, yeah, there's moments like that, and it's like, she was more addressing it with her father when it's like, but he helped you out too. But it's cool.
yeah.
I like that they're doing that, and yeah, that's for me. I wonder if they'll explain it though. Good point.
Mm.
In terms of the other stuff, yeah, I thought she was bluffing too. I was like, there's no way. She just saved her life right there. And
Yeah.
I love this. I really love this Reva character because
Same. Yeah.
just how different she is to what of the not even Inquisitor characters that we've gone, but like just in Star Wars characters in general. Like she's just kind of like this annoying brat where it's like she keeps getting in the way, and but it's because she has this drive for Obi-Wan that I want to know. I want to find out why she cares about Obi-Wan so much.
Yeah. I'm with you.
But Vader coming in and just choking her, it's like, oh my God, like here we go. Here's scary Vader again. And it was very unlike Vader to just like march up to someone like this. So you could tell how much Obi-Wan really just means to him and boils his
Yeah.
blood because he
Oh yeah.
usually will
Yeah.
just Vader's more of the guy that will come up to you in a very slow, like dominant way, so you can, you just get all the
Yeah.
jitters as he's
He was
approaching,
just
but
marching through.
he just marched up to
Yeah.
her, and even the fifth brother was like, whoa.
So I
So
gotta point out, I was watching episode 2 and 3 with my brother and his partner last night. His partner was like, um, he's like, "Oh, why does Vader walk so quickly in the third episode?" He was like, "It feels like he's walking way too quickly." And so it's interesting that you just brought that up. So
oh
I don't know.
wow, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, Obi-Wan just ignites a different type of fire inside of him. Because yeah,
yeah,
I noticed that this episode, I was like, yeah, he just that's not like Vader. It felt very unlike Vader, and I'm like, oh wait, Hayden's in the suit, and then my mind like, oh yeah, Obi-Wan, Obi-Wan, he's after Obi-Wan. Like this is different. So yes. In other terms of what? Oh yeah, the I love the how I love the whole Talus stuff when she was trying to be being that was some scary stuff. By the way, Tala was a star in this
yeah,
episode. I love the way she was able just to carry herself through and be like, excuse me, I'm your commanding officer, you would address me as that. It was, oh my
yeah.
god, that was great. I seriously love Tala, and I
And
thought
then after
for,
that moment when she like is by herself, she's like, like I can't believe
yes,
I just got away
yes,
with that.
I was like, oh my god,
Uh,
and that kind of reminded me of some celebration stuff that we did. But anyways, I think Tala, even at the end when she was talking to Reva, I was like, oh my god, I was scared for her because I'm like,
yeah,
well, that sucks. Like she is now just gonna sacrifice her life, and I was just really loving her, and but I'm glad they made it out. And I love the whole battle alarm sequence when Reva and all the stormtroopers are led to the landing platform. Yeah, that was really cool because we've seen that in trailers, and I remember you and I when we were talking about the trailer, the second one, the official one. I was like, what's going on this base? Like, is Obi-Wan? How does Obi-Wan end there? Like, does he get captured and now he's escaping? What's going on, or is he rescuing someone? And look, he rescued Leia, so it was cool seeing all that happen, and Reva doing her cool lightsaber tricks on the landing pad. Yeah, I thought that whole sequence was very well done, and even when you have the speeders coming through and shooting, I thought that was well done as well. And seeing Reva grab like ammunition and throw it at one of the speeders, I felt for the guy, but I was like, that was pretty damn cool.
yeah,
So yeah, I don't know, I like I said, overall I really enjoyed this episode. Obviously, I think it's the weakest thus far, but yeah, there's just moments like that I just absolutely vibed with, and other moments that I didn't as much, but it's just
mm,
moments like that I was like, oh yeah. And the escape, and you brought up a beautiful point of Obi-Wan and Leia. I didn't feel that as much at the end as they held hands or whatever. I thought that was a cute moment, but what broke my heart was when Leia was being interrogated by Reba or Reba, however you want to say it. She was like, "Is he dead? How did he
mm,
die?" I was like, "Oh my god!" Like that just
yeah,
broke
yeah,
my heart. But yeah, at the end, it was very wholesome seeing them uh, hold hands together, and even I'm scared to say this, but I think it was during the interrogation stuff, I was like, you know, I think this Leia stuff I'm getting like over, like I'm getting tired of it. Like I'm like, okay, there's just
yeah.
a moment where I was like, I hope
Mm,
she's not all the way to the finale. But by the end of it, because of those moments, and then she started asking, like, how did he die? And then
mm,
their moment of embrace at the end, then that's when I was like, you know what? Keep her till the finale. I'm okay
yeah,
with it. I'm okay. But there was just a moment in that like I said, the interrogation stuff was like the lowest of the episode, the lowest point of the episode for me. Where I even was even questioning Leia's presence in the series, or just being like, you know
yeah,
what, I'm over it. But I think if they carry it now to the finale, I'm okay. I'm all right. I'm chill. I'm vibing.
yeah.
So
I That's really interesting because I thought a very similar thing. I was like, I really like Little Leia. I love the actor.
yes,
I
yes,
love how she's written and everything. But part of me was like, oh, I'm getting a little sick of Leia. Like
yeah,
there was just points of the episode where I was like, oh, like it feels like she's holding the narrative back a bit at times. But really, when you look at it, she's doing the opposite. She's like the whole narrative uh, is sort of
depends on her.
yeah, it depends on her. Like it surrounds her. So um I do feel that, like, yeah, by the end though, I was like, you know what, like she's great. I go back and forth on it, but I'm with you. Like there were moments where I was like, oof, I'm getting a little sick of Leia, but um, I just, yeah, I think it's very Star Wars to have like the story that revolves around a little kid. Like they've done that before and they've done it well. So there's a
Oh
movie
yeah.
out there called The Phantom Menace. So yeah, I do agree, but overall, yeah, we love Leia. We love little
we love
Leia.
Lele. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the whole episode. We sort of just broke it all down for you. Exciting to see what happens next. We know something will happen with this tracker. They're going to know wherever they're off to. There could be some sort of battle. Who knows where that's going to go? But outside of that, do you have any wild predictions you want to throw out?
I did for a second. I thought Quinlan was gonna show up some point, at some point in the series, because I love that. I thought that they were gonna get captured, and then next week it'll be like someone was gonna come save the day, someone familiar that we know. But when those T speeders came out, I was like, okay, that's cool. That was a nice way to do it all, because I'm like, they are
Yeah.
really screwed. There's nothing to do. So
Yeah.
that was a cool moment. But yeah, I don't. I guess maybe I still have a little bit of hope that they'll bring Quinlan in somewhat. I mean, I'm still kind of like
Yeah.
skeptical and being like, I don't know. But they did mention him, so I'm like, well, that would be cool if they did bring him in at
Mhm.
at some stage, or someone that we know. But if not, keep it on that smaller scale. Keep it
Contained. Yeah.
Obi-Wan centered. That's cool, and Leia. We already got a lot to sort through. Wildest prediction. Uh, I don't. I'm playing it safe with this series, because I think with Boba Fett, we were all playing down the cards of wildest predictions. Like, oh my god, this episode, this is gonna happen. We're
Yeah.
just expecting so much. So this series, I'm playing a little bit more safe. I'm
Yeah.
just saying what I want here. I want Reva and Obi-Wan a real confrontation. I want to see what's brewing with that. You
Mhm.
know, I guess my wildest prediction is that the Grand Inquisitor doesn't come back, but I think the writer did say that
Wow.
we respect canon and we're paying attention to it, so
Yeah.
that's all I'll say. So I think he'll come back, but yeah, there's nothing much else than what's already been said. I want Anakin Obi-Wan. I think we'll get that soon, like a flashback, maybe Ahsoka in there, but I rather just see those two again. What was the other one? I can't think off the top of my head. I guess yeah. If you heard all the safe theories and stuff, that's where I lie.
Yeah.
That's
If you got a
pretty much
wild
where I lie.
one, drop it in the comments. We want to
Yeah.
hear it.
Yeah, if you got a wild one, drop it in the comments. But if you know actual spoilers, don't comment. But for real,
Yeah.
drop your wildest stuff. But how about you? Do you have
Yeah.
anything wild that you're
Um,
speculating?
Not really. I'm very similar to you. I don't want anything like wild. I mean, yeah, sure, I want something wild to happen, but nothing just like, oh, look, Ahsoka, Boba Fett, and the Mandalorian all appear. Like, I want nothing like that.
The Mandalorian, yeah.
I mean, who knows? Anyways, but with the Quinlan Boss thing, we talked about it just after the episode, and I was saying I really hope they actually don't put him in this show, because I feel like what they did with Cad Bane, they just threw him in at the end, and then just that story just felt really rushed and incomplete, and not just didn't satisfy me. And Quinlan Voss is another favorite character of mine and the fandom in general. So I don't want them to like rush a storyline with him where it's like he comes in for 10 minutes and then he dies or something like that.
Yeah.
So I'd prefer him sort of just stay out of this story and get his own thing, whether that's in the Bad Batch or his own series, whatever it is. But yeah, I would just say I hope they confirm Grand Inquisitor. I don't know if he necessarily needs to come back. I think they might just be like, oh yeah, he's healing in the back to tank or whatever, similar to the
Right.
Unfree stuff in Bad Batch. And then yeah, like I hope we see a flashback. Like I would like to see that in some way. Like
Yeah.
that's all I'd say. I just want more Hayden Christensen in these last two episodes, because he's been very minimal so far, but that's sort of what I expected from the first part of the series. So let's get that Hayden Christensen going. But before we wrap up, we did this with Boba Fett. We forgot to do it last week, so it was 3 episodes to cover, which was too many. What's your overall rating of the episode? And yeah, any final thoughts?
Ooh. Hmm. Hmm. I still liked it. So I'd probably give it like a 6.5 or a 7. I
Wow.
liked it.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd probably lean closer to, yeah, I'll just say that 6.5 or a 7. For this one, I'll say, because I do, yeah, I'll probably say a 6.5. I still liked it. I still had fun with it. But yeah, there's just some things I was just, and no, 6.5 doesn't mean a 65% or an F. That's not at all. Like it's for me, it's, if it's a 5, I think it's like, yeah, it was
Yeah.
and 6.5 is like, yeah, I liked it. and 7 is obvious. Oh, that was strong. That was good.
Yeah,
We can break down our
etc.
rating,
Yeah,
our structures later. But
yeah,
and overall thoughts, like I said, uh, when it, came in expecting a little bit more than what we got, but I thought it was okay. I thought it was served its purpose. I think it still pushed the narrative forward in many good ways, and there's some things that weigh down for me, and some things where it's just like, all right, we're doing this now. Stuff we've already seen, but yeah, seeing Ewan again as Obi-Wan spinning that lightsaber and actually going up against stormtroopers,
mm,
a real highlight. And yeah, I love the Leia Obi-Wan stuff at the while they were apart and while they were at the end there. And Reva as well. I love seeing her just in her fiery spirit as always. So yeah, lots of things to like about this episode. So those are my things. How about you, Ari? How would you rate this?
yeah. I would go a little bit higher, more of a 7 to 7.5, probably leaning more towards maybe the 7.5 or somewhere in the middle. I don't want to give a 7.25. That seems weird. So somewhere from 7 to 7.5, somewhere around that mark.
7.25687, all that
Yeah.
stuff. Break it down.
But yeah, no, I agree with what you said. Just to reiterate, thought it was solid. I think we'll look back on this as an important episode. Progression with Little Leia, Reva, Ben, Tala, even if they're going to play a more consequential role, I guess, going forward. And even Vader, I guess you could say, we're sort of seeing where he's at and everything. And I don't know, it was just good fun. And that's what Star Wars is all about. It's about having fun. So, yeah, I guess that just about wraps us up.
Yes, it does. Thank you guys for joining us for another episode of the Star Wars Exchange, and thank you for joining us for another Obi-Wan Kenobi review. Yes, there are 2 episodes left, so make sure to subscribe on wherever you're listening. If you're listening to Apple Podcasts, subscribe and leave us a review. If you're listening on Spotify, make sure to subscribe and rate us. If you're listening on YouTube, hit that like button, subscribe. We are not going anywhere. We still got 2 episodes of Obi-Wan left to cover and indulge in. And we might be bringing on some special guests to help us out with some of the episodes and whatnot. But yeah, make sure you join us because there's still lots left to talk about and lots left to look forward to. So you are not going to want to miss it. Before the show even started, we hyped it up. We did trailers, we did editorial reviews, and a lot of our predictions are coming true. And we want to see how it outlies, when the series is over. So make sure you're here for that. And make sure you also follow our Instagram page at the Star Wars or SW Exchange. There, we were posting a whole bunch of stuff that's going on with us. We actually just met up at it like a week ago. So actually, we're still posting pictures on there. So don't miss a beat and follow our Instagram page there. And thank you guys for 200 plus followers. And Ari, until then, until the next time we see these lovely people, where can people keep up with you?
Find me on Instagram at Star Wars_exchange and at Twitter, the SW Exchange.
Awesome. And you guys can follow me all_Star Wars on Instagram and Twitter. And yeah, until next time, guys, may the force be with you and adios.
See ya.